I'm just gonna ask.
Are you ready for a tale of rags to riches turned into a nightmare? A story where a rap sensation falls from the top to the bottom, all because of a few bad choices and some dirty cops? Well, buckle up, fam, because we're about to take you on a wild ride with Glorilla, Memphis's hottest rapper who just got slammed with a major sentence. Glorilla's come-up story is one for the books. Growing up in South Memphis with 9 siblings, she had to fight tooth and nail to make it out of the blocks. Her mom marked her as different from day one, giving her that middle name, Hallelujah, which would later become a symbol of her resilience. Before she was spitting bars about being FNF, Shorty was in the church heavy, singing gospel joints like Amazing Grace and Encourage Yourself. But the streets had other plans for Glorilla. As high school hit, church became less frequent, and she started experimenting with weed. The singing took a back seat to other priorities, and the path that would eventually lead to rap stardom began to take shape. Fast forward to early 2022, and we find Glorilla linking up with producer Hit Kid on what would become the track that changed the whole game, FNF. Now, this wasn't just some random studio session. This was lightning in a bottle. That once-in-a-generation type magic that you can't manufacture or fake. The song absolutely demolished every platform it touched, going viral on TikTok, hitting the Billboard Hot 100, and even snagging a Grammy nomination. But let's keep it 100 about what FNF really represented in the culture. FNF was more than just another rap joint. It was an anthem for women who were tired of settling for less than they deserve. Free became a battle cry for females who were ready to level up without needing some broke boy to validate them. The message was crystal clear. I don't need no dusty dude to pay my bills, boost my confidence, or define my worth. But success in the music game always comes with drama. And the FNF situation was no different. Hit Kid came sideways claiming that Glorilla and CMG were trying to secure ownership of the track without putting him in the loop. This type of behind-the-scenes business drama is exactly what happens when a song blows up, and everybody wants their piece of the pie. Told you and your manager every day that we was in LA with Sweetie that labels are going to try to sign you because of FNF. So, watch out. I also told you to let me know when labels reach out so we can be on the same page, but you still went and signed my song without telling me. But Glorilla wasn't about to let nobody play her or question her hustle. Her response showed exactly why she was built different. And we're done. Made so much money from FNF, and I haven't made not one red cent other than shows. But I'm still prospering because guess what? I can rap in real life.
And 99 MF1 Hit Wonder.
I wrote every single lyric and every single song I ever put out. And even after all this, I still got love for Hit Kid cause we came up together. Even though he'd been going behind my back ever since the song blew up.
The music industry is full of vultures and snakes. And when you're a young artist blowing up fast, everybody wants to test you.
Every major label was trying to get at her, flying her out for meetings and promising her the world. But Glorilla was smart enough to take her time and not get caught up in the hype. What made her different from a lot of artists who get starstruck by the major label courting process was her street smarts and business sense. She spent 2 weeks meeting with different labels before finally sitting down with Yo Gotti. And even then, she was nervous because Gotti was right there in Memphis and had that reputation. So when I had finally linked with him, it was on a yacht. We had met on the yacht and stuff, and we were just chopping it up. And then the rest was history. But what sealed the deal wasn't just Gotti's street credibility or his paper. It was his vision for her career. Unlike all them other label executives who just saw FNF as a fluke or were trying to figure out how to recreate that same energy, Gotti recognized her potential and believed in her whole catalog. When she played him her unreleased music on that yacht, he knew he had found the perfect artist. But Glorilla's story takes a dark turn when we find out about the events leading up to her arrest. She got caught up with some grimy-ass burglars who broke into her crib while she was out of town performing at the WNBA All-Star Weekend. And when the police showed up to investigate the break-in, they found some bud in her bedroom and decided that arresting the victim was more important than catching the real criminals. Let that marinate for a second. Fam Shorty calls the law because her house got violated, her family got traumatized, and her stuff got stolen. And instead of these boys in blue focusing on finding the real perpetrators who committed the actual crimes, they decided to flip the script and make her the criminal. They booked her, and she had to post a $22.260 bond.
Big bag, big
Glock in my hip. Wow, that was it. Okay, what are you thinking?
Tell you got throw the
All because she had some personal stash in her own damn house that she wasn't even at when the crime happened. Her response on social was raw as hell and kept it all the way real. She hit Twitter with some fire that got over 3.6 million views. Glorilla's reaction to the situation was a perfect example of why she's built different. She took the high road, never once blaming the police or making excuses for her actions. Instead, she stood firm in the face of adversity and proved to her fans why she's the queen of Memphis. As we reflect on Glorilla's downfall, it's clear that a combination of bad choices and dirty cops led to her downfall. But what's more important is how she responds to these challenges. Will she let them break her, or will she rise above? Only time will tell, but one thing's for sure. Glorilla sentenced, goodbye forever is far from the end of her story. As we delve deeper into Glorilla's story, it becomes clear that her rise to fame was meteoric. With hits like F and Not F, and a growing reputation as one of the most promising new voices in hip-hop, Glorilla seemed invincible. But behind closed doors, she was facing challenges that would test even the strongest of wills. One of those who saw potential in Glorilla was 50 Cent. He had been making waves in the industry for years, and his label CMG, Curtis Jackson Music Group, had become a force to be reckoned with. When Glorilla inked her deal with CMG, it was a major coup for both parties involved. But what happened next is a masterclass in how the music industry and the legal system can team up to humble artists who get too comfortable with their success. The first major red flag dropped in April 2024 when Glorilla got hemmed up in Gwinnett County, Georgia on some DUI charges. Now, DUI stops happen to celebrities all the time, but the body cam footage from this arrest showed something different. It revealed an artist who already knew she was being treated like a suspect before any evidence was even presented. "Enlighten me on who you are," the officer asked her, and Glorilla responded with that perfect mix of sass and assertiveness. "I'm seeing you," she said. "No, 'cause you still going to pick on me." It's this kind of unapologetic confidence that has drawn fans to Glorilla in droves. But it's also a key factor in the way law enforcement seems to approach her, as someone who needs to be taken down a peg. Despite going through the field sobriety tests and the officer making all these claims about her performance, Glorilla maintained her innocence throughout the whole ordeal. The footage shows a woman who's confused, frustrated, and slowly realizing that the deck is stacked against her. "What if you don't have any proof on me?" she asks the officer, only to be met with a dismissive response. This 2024 arrest should have been a warning sign, not for Glorilla, but for anybody paying attention to how the system treats successful young black artists. But instead of learning from this and treating her fairly moving forward, it seems like law enforcement was just getting warmed up. Meanwhile, Glorilla's career was absolutely exploding in ways that had the whole industry taking notice. Her collab with Cardi B on Tomorrow 2 went crazy, and she was building a reputation as one of the realest voices in the game. But with more visibility came more scrutiny, and not all of it was fair or justified. The pressure of fame was showing in her personal life, too. Shorty had already been through a serious heartbreak that had her not eating for weeks, and the constant attention was taking its toll on her mental health and relationships. "I never want nobody to have that much power over me where I can't eat," she said in an interview, revealing a vulnerability that made her relatable to millions of fans. But it also painted a bullseye on her back, making her more of a target for those who would seek to bring her down. The legal troubles were stacking up in other areas, too. There were ongoing beefs with former collaborators and producers, business deals going sour, and the constant pressure of maintaining her image while dealing with personal struggles that would break most people. But it was how she handled criticism and controversy that really showed what type of person Glorilla was at her core. When she caught heat for using an offensive word in her lyrics in August 2024, she didn't double down or make excuses. She revised the bars and addressed the concerns head-on. This type of accountability is rare in the rap game, but it also showed that Glorilla was someone who could be reasoned with, someone who genuinely cared about her impact on others. On August 24, 2024, she responded by revising the lyrics to "Me and My BH Got Naughty," sharing the updated version on X. The fans showed love for her addressing the situation with comments like, "Okay, naughty, a considerate queen, and other artists should take notes." The drop of her debut album, Glorious, in October 2024, should have been nothing but celebration. but instead it sparked a
No problem with that. Mention the Breakfast Club if you want to go viral.
And his platform is big enough for these artists to, you seen what his platform did for Tweaker. So
Yeah,
of course,
no, he's
French,
had a lot of.
You said French just dropped a song.
Yeah, today.
Another controversy. The project included Rain Down on Me, featuring gospel legends like Maverick City Music, Kirk Franklin, Chandler Moore, and Kiara Shear, which had some folks in the gospel community feeling some type of way about these artists collaborating with Glorilla, given her explicit content. But her supporters came through with the facts, reminding everybody that Glorilla grew up in the church, served in the church, and was in the choir. This wasn't no calculated move to capitalize on gospel music. This was an artist going back to her roots, trying to bridge the gap between where she came from and where she was headed. But Glorilla wasn't letting nobody else write her story. She continued speaking out on important issues, including her stance on plastic surgery and body positivity. When faced with body-shaming comments, she responded with that raw confidence. "No, I'm not getting a BBL," she said. "I already feel like the thickest bit in DA world." By July 2025, Glorilla had reached the top of her game, performing at major events like the WNBA All-Star Weekend. She was booked, blessed, and building an empire that would have made her younger self proud. But success, as she was about to learn, can make you a target in ways you never expected. The night of July 20th, 2025, while Glorilla was in Indianapolis on stage doing what she loved, living her dreams and inspiring thousands of fans, her crib in Georgia was getting violated by some grimy criminals who knew she wasn't home. 3 suspects broke into her house, and when an armed family member fired shots at the intruders, they bounced, jewelry got stolen, her family got traumatized, and a young woman's sense of safety and security got shattered. But what happened next is where this story takes a turn that'll have you heated and questioning everything you thought you knew about justice in America. Instead of focusing their investigation on finding the criminals who violated Glorilla's home, who terrorized her family, who stole her property, the police decided that the real crime was some marijuana they found in her bedroom closet. Think about that for a minute. Fam. A successful young black woman calls the police because her house got burglarized, her family got traumatized, her property got stolen, and the police response is to arrest her for possession of some bud. A substance that's legal in mad states and decriminalized damn near everywhere else. And the most infuriating part, as of the latest reports, no arrests have been made in connection with the actual burglary. The real criminals, the ones who broke into her house, terrorized her family, and stole her stuff are still walking free. But Glorilla, the victim in this whole situation, is the one facing felony charges that could derail everything she's worked for. The fight back and what's next for the Queen? As we dive deeper into the saga of Glorilla's home invasion and subsequent arrest, it becomes increasingly clear that justice is being twisted to serve a system rather than its intended purpose, protecting victims and bringing perpetrators to justice. Let's break down the facts of what went down that night because, as they say, the devil is in the details. On Saturday, while Glorilla was hundreds of miles away performing at the WNBA All-Star Game in Indianapolis, 3 suspects broke into her house in the Atlanta suburbs. The Forsyth County Sheriff's Office received a report of a burglary in progress around 1:30 a.m. and responded promptly. But here's where things take a dark turn. Instead of focusing on apprehending the perpetrators who had terrorized Glorilla's family, the police decided to search her home for evidence. Armed with a search warrant, they used K-9 units and drone teams to scour every inch of the property. And what did they find? A significant amount of marijuana in plain sight, in the closet of the master bedroom.
Now, let's get real for a moment.
Glorilla was out of town at the time of the burglary, and her family members were the ones who had to defend themselves against these armed intruders. But instead of being hailed as heroes, they're facing felony charges that could derail their lives. And what about the actual perpetrators? Well, it seems like they're still walking free, enjoying their ill-gotten gains while Glorilla's future hangs in the balance. This whole situation is a perfect example of how justice is often twisted to serve those with power and privilege. The police seemed more interested in finding a reason to lock up Glorilla than in protecting her family or apprehending the real culprits. And let's not forget, this is a young black woman who has worked tirelessly to build a successful music career, only to be targeted by a system that seems determined to bring her down. As Glorilla's legal team pointed out, when her family did the right thing and called law enforcement after the violent home invasion, instead of investigating the actual crime, Police went and got a search warrant when they spotted some weed. Listen to that again, fam. Miss Woods was out of town while her residence became a target for a group of home invaders who most likely...
Neon been having a couple artists come through or whatever, but...
Because that platform is like, you get on there, all them kids going to listen to the music. I mean, you know what I mean? So...
Yeah.
That verse was trash, by the way.
Did they do a song?
So,
likely knew she wasn't there. What they didn't know was that she had families staying with her who were traumatized by the violent entrance of this group who grabbed high-value jewelry before taking off once they realized the home wasn't vacant. Finding law firm Ash when her family members did the right thing and called law enforcement instead of investigating the violent home invasion and theft at Miss Wood's home. They instead sought a search warrant when they spotted what they believed was a small amount of marijuana. No arrest warrants have been issued for the violent home invaders. The people who actually committed crimes, who broke into someone's house, terrorized a family, and stole property, are walking around free as birds. But Glorilla, the victim, is facing felony charges that could result in years behind bars. This ain't just about marijuana laws or drug policy. This is about a fundamental perversion of justice that prioritizes criminalizing success over protecting victims. It's about a system that seems specifically designed to bring down young black artists who dare to achieve independence and wealth without asking permission. And Glorilla ain't the only one who peeped game. The response from the hip-hop community and beyond has been overwhelming. Artists, activists, and regular people are all asking the same questions. How is this justice? How is this protecting and serving? How is this making anybody safer? But perhaps the most powerful response has come from Glorilla herself. Not through her legal team or publicist, but through her actions. Despite everything she's going through, despite facing felony charges that could destroy her career, she showed up for her scheduled Glow Bash performance at FedEx Forum in Memphis. She didn't hide, she didn't cancel, she didn't let the system break her spirit. And Glorilla's impact has been undeniable from day one. From her early days singing in the church choir to her current status as one of hip-hop's most authentic voices, she's consistently used her platform to speak truth to power and inspire others to do the same. Exactly. But like, where did this come from? I know I never heard somebody say that until you said it. Seriously. Did you didn't make that up? Okay. Actually I don't know where I saw this at, but they were like, yeah, I saw a post. They said crackheads be giving out the best advice. One of them just walked up to me and said at the end of the day that they got in. The current situation facing Glorilla ain't just about one artist or one case. It's about a pattern of behavior that affects countless young people, particularly young black artists who achieve success. The system seems designed to criminalize their success, to find reasons to bring them down, to send a message that no matter how high you climb, you're still subject to different rules. The legal implications of Glorilla's case are serious as hell. She's facing felony charges for possession of marijuana and controlled substance charges that could result in significant prison time if she gets convicted. But more than that, these charges could affect her ability to travel internationally to perform at certain venues to build the empire she's been grinding toward her whole life. The irony is staggering, fam. Here's a young woman who pulled herself out of poverty, who went from sleeping on air mattresses to building a multi-million-dollar empire, who used her platform to inspire others and give back to her community. She's exactly the kind of success story America claims to celebrate. But instead of being protected and supported, she's being criminalized and targeted. And this ain't happening in a vacuum. Glorilla already faced legal troubles before, including that DUI arrest in April 2024, which suggests a pattern of increased scrutiny that goes way beyond what most celebrities face. It's like her success painted a target on her back that law enforcement can't resist aiming for. The legal battle ahead won't be easy. With felony charges pending and the potential for serious consequences, Glorilla and her legal team will have to navigate a system that's already shown its bias. But if her past is any indication, she ain't going down without a fight. The support from her legal squad has been unwavering. Attorney Drew Finling's statement calling the arrest a disturbing window into how law enforcement priorities have become wasn't just legal posturing. It was a moral stand that resonated with people across the country who have witnessed similar injustices. The future of Glorilla's case remains uncertain, and the legal system moves slow, but what is certain is that Glorilla has already won in the most important way possible. She's shown the world who she really is. And she's inspired millions of people to never give up on their dreams, no matter what obstacles they face. whether she's eventually cleared of all charges or justice is ultimately served, or whether this becomes another example of a system that fails its most vulnerable citizens, one thing is crystal clear: Glorilla's impact will be felt for years to come. Whether she's eventually cleared of all charges or justice is ultimately served, or whether this becomes another example of a system that fails its most vulnerable citizens, one thing is crystal clear: Glorilla's impact will be felt for years to come.
I was hoping the show would still go on. Because they really up for it. They ready to come.
Her concert is a go as Glow's attorneys push back against the charges, calling her arrest a disturbing window into how warped law enforcement priorities have become, going on to say Miss Woods is a victim, not a suspect. Glorilla on X mentioning how instead of deputies focusing on finding the suspects, they focus on some cannabis. The Forsyth County Sheriff emphasized she's a victim of a serious crime. At the same time, we must continue to uphold and enforce the law in all aspects of this case.
And we did reach out to the district attorney's office for comment on the investigation and the charges, but we have yet to hear back.